The world watched in awe and terror on July 16, 1945, as the first atomic bomb, codenamed Trinity, detonated in the New Mexico desert. The blinding flash and mushroom cloud marked the dawn of the nuclear age, a stark warning of the destructive power humanity now wielded. Just weeks later, the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, were devastated by nuclear bombs, ending World War II, but leaving behind a chilling legacy of death and destruction. These early bombs, primitive by today's standards, unleashed unimaginable devastation, forever altering our understanding of warfare. The Trinity test, with a yield of approximately 20 kilotons, vaporized the steel tower it was perched upon and left a crater hundreds of meters wide. The Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, with yields of 15 and 21 kilotons respectively, instantly killed tens of thousands and left a path of destruction that stretched for miles. Buildings were reduced to rubble, fires raged through the cities, and the air was thick with radioactive fallout. These early nuclear attacks provided a horrifying glimpse into the potential consequences of this new and terrible weapon. The devastation caused by these early bombs sent shockwaves through the world. It became tragically clear that humanity had crossed a dangerous threshold, unleashing a force with the potential to annihilate entire cities and their populations. The world was left to grapple with the implications of this newfound power, a power that could either be harnessed for good or lead to unimaginable destruction. The early atomic bombs, though terrifying in their own right, pale in comparison to the destructive capabilities of modern nuclear weapons. The arms race that followed World War II saw a relentless pursuit of ever larger and more powerful nuclear devices. Yields measured in the equivalent explosive power of thousands or millions of tons of TNT increased exponentially. While the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs had yields in the low tens of kilotons, modern thermonuclear weapons, also known as hydrogen bombs, can have yields in the megaton range. A single megaton is equivalent to the explosive force of 1 million tons of TNT. To put this into perspective, a 1 megaton bomb detonated over a city could cause widespread destruction within a radius of several miles. The blast wave would level buildings, the intense heat would ignite fires, and the radiation would pose a deadly threat to all living things. This dramatic increase in destructive power is a sobering reminder of the stakes involved in any nuclear conflict. The use of even a single modern thermonuclear weapon could have catastrophic consequences, resulting in mass casualties, widespread environmental damage, and long-term health problems for survivors. The development of such powerful weapons has made the threat of nuclear war a terrifying possibility, with potentially global consequences. Modern nuclear weapons are not monolithic entities. They exist on a spectrum of size, yield, and intended purpose. Broadly speaking, they can be categorized as either tactical or strategic nuclear weapons, each designed for different military objectives and with vastly different implications for the battlefield. Tactical nuclear weapons, as their name suggests, are designed for use in limited military engagements. They tend to have lower yields, often in the kiloton range, and are intended to destroy specific targets such as military installations or troop concentrations. The use of tactical nuclear weapons, though potentially devastating, is generally seen as less likely to escalate into a full-blown nuclear war. Strategic nuclear weapons, on the other hand, are the true behemoths of the nuclear arsenal. These weapons, with yields often reaching into the megaton range, are designed to inflict maximum damage over a wide area. They are typically targeted at cities, industrial centers, and other critical infrastructure, with the aim of crippling an enemy nation's ability to wage war. The use of strategic nuclear weapons would represent a dramatic escalation of conflict with potentially apocalyptic consequences. The existence of both tactical and strategic nuclear weapons underscores the complex and multifaceted nature of nuclear deterrence. While tactical weapons might be seen as a more usable option in a conflict, the line between tactical and strategic use can be blurry, and any use of nuclear weapons carries the risk of escalation and unintended consequences. To truly grasp the destructive power of modern nuclear weapons, it's helpful to visualize their potential impact on familiar landscapes. By superimposing blast radii over maps of major cities, we can gain a chilling understanding of the devastation a single detonation could unleash. Imagine a nuclear weapon with a yield of 1 megaton detonated over a city like London or New York. The initial fireball, stretching for miles, would vaporize everything in its immediate vicinity. Buildings, bridges, and even concrete structures would be reduced to dust. A shockwave, traveling faster than the speed of sound, would radiate outwards, flattening buildings and tossing vehicles like toys. The blast radius of a 1 megaton weapon would extend for several miles, encompassing vast urban areas. Within this radius, the vast majority of buildings would be destroyed or severely damaged. Fires would rage through the city, fueled by debris and ruptured gas lines. The air would become thick with dust and debris, making it difficult to breathe. Those who survived the initial blast and thermal pulse would face a desperate struggle for survival in a devastated and irradiated landscape. The unfolding inferno immediate effects of a nuclear detonation. The detonation of a nuclear weapon unleashes a chain reaction of horrifying events that unfold in fractions of a second. Understanding these immediate effects is crucial to comprehending the true scale of the devastation these weapons can inflict. The initial burst of energy from a nuclear explosion is released in the form of blinding light and intense heat, known as thermal radiation. This thermal pulse, lasting for just a few seconds, can cause flash blindness at incredible distances and ignite flammable materials within a radius of several miles. The heat alone is enough to vaporize people and objects close to the detonation point, leaving behind only shadows. Following closely behind a thermal pulse is the blast wave, a wall of highly compressed air that expands outwards from the detonation point at supersonic speeds. This shock wave is responsible for much of the physical damage associated with nuclear explosions. It can level buildings, uproot trees, and hurl debris with deadly force. The pressure change caused by the blast wave can also rupture internal organs, even at a distance. The immediate aftermath of a nuclear detonation is a scene of unimaginable chaos and destruction. The combination of thermal radiation, blast wave, and ionizing radiation creates a deadly and unforgiving environment where survival is a matter of sheer luck and distance from the epicenter. A world in ashes, long-term consequences for humanity and the environment. The immediate devastation caused by a nuclear explosion is only the beginning of the story. The long-term consequences of a nuclear attack are far-reaching and potentially catastrophic, affecting human health, the environment, and the very fabric of civilization. One of the most insidious and long-lasting effects of a nuclear detonation is radioactive fallout. This invisible killer consists of radioactive particles that are lifted into the atmosphere by the explosion and then carried by winds for hundreds or even thousands of miles. As fallout settles back to Earth, it contaminates soil, water, and food supplies, posing a significant threat to human health. Exposure to high levels of radiation can cause acute radiation sickness, a debilitating condition characterized by nausea, vomiting, hair loss, and internal bleeding. Long-term exposure to lower levels of radiation can increase the risk of cancer, birth defects, and other health problems. The environmental consequences of nuclear fallout are equally dire, leading to widespread contamination, genetic mutations, and disruption of ecosystems. Beyond the immediate physical and environmental impacts, a nuclear attack would have profound social, economic, and political consequences. The collapse of infrastructure, the disruption of trade, and the mass displacement of populations would create a global humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale. The psychological trauma inflicted by such an event would leave lasting scars on individuals, communities, and entire nations. The nuclear sword of Damocles, current arsenals, and the fragile peace. Despite the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world today still lives under the shadow of nuclear weapons. The 9 countries known or believed to possess nuclear weapons currently have arsenals estimated to contain over 12,000 warheads, many of which are far more powerful than the bombs dropped on Japan. The United States and Russia, the 2 nuclear superpowers, possess the vast majority of these weapons. While the end of the Cold War brought about a significant reduction in nuclear stockpiles, both countries still maintain thousands of warheads on high alert, ready to be launched at a moment's notice. This hair-trigger posture, a relic of a bygone era, increases the risk of accidental or unauthorized launches, potentially triggering a catastrophic conflict. The proliferation of nuclear weapons to other countries, such as North Korea and Iran, further complicates the global security landscape. These countries, often motivated by regional rivalries or a desire for international prestige, view nuclear weapons as a deterrent against attack or a bargaining chip in international negotiations. The spread of nuclear technology increases the risk of these weapons falling into the wrong hands, whether those of terrorist groups or unstable regimes. A call for sanity, disarmament, diplomacy, and the path to a safer world. The continued existence of nuclear weapons poses an existential threat to humanity. The only way to guarantee that these weapons will never be used again is to eliminate them entirely. This goal, while daunting, is achievable through a combination of disarmament, diplomacy, and a renewed commitment to international cooperation. Disarmament efforts, such as the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, have played a crucial role in preventing the spread of nuclear weapons to more countries. However, more needs to be done to reduce existing stockpiles and address the threat posed by nuclear terrorism. The Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, CTBT, which prohibits all nuclear explosions, would be a significant step towards a world free of nuclear weapons. Diplomacy and dialogue are essential tools for building trust and reducing tensions between nuclear-armed states. Open lines of communication, confidence-building measures, and a willingness to address each other's security concerns can help to prevent misunderstandings and reduce the risk of escalation. International organizations such as the United Nations can play a vital role in facilitating dialogue and promoting cooperation on nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. The quest for a world free of nuclear weapons is not merely a utopian dream, it is a moral imperative. The survival of our species and the future of our planet depend on our collective ability to confront this challenge with courage, determination, and a shared commitment to peace.